What's up, game?
Well, hey Ian, how's it going?
It's Wednesday.
It's Wednesday. Hey everybody, welcome to Blank as a Fart. It's an all new episode this week after a quick break. And before another quick break, we'll get into that later though. So we're moving on. We're on the next phase now. The murder has been solved, and now we find out what's next for everybody.
Yeah.
I don't think Ian's impressed. What do you say, Ian?
Well, there was a death on the show, and there was a funeral episode this week, and it might as well just be the funeral for the show. Holy shit. I don't.
It's the end of the show as far as Ian's concerned.
Let me find
So
the
it
word.
sounds like
the
we'll
word
be kicking
the word that shows up the most in my notes is cringe.
cringe.
Just every scene
boy.
is cringe.
Every scene is cringe.
Pretty much.
Well, this is what I've been warning you about since the beginning.
Yes, you did warn me. Yes, you did.
I did. So you can't say, that this wasn't expected. But,
and then you alluding in the Discord so far can
so far.
only is like, oh great.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We still haven't seen, where James is fucked off to. We still haven't met John Justice Wheeler yet.
Did you really watch this episode twice this week?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I watched them all twice, dude.
I know, but come on, you got to be sometimes be nah, I don't need to.
There was some stuff I fast forwarded through. I mean, honestly, I found a lot of stuff about this episode to like.
Oh my god.
A couple of specific monologues, I guess you'd call them. And then we do have a lot of fun guest stars in this one too, so we'll talk about that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll talk about the socials just a second. Blank as a fart on Instagram, blank as a fart on Facebook, blank as a fart on pretty much whatever except Gmail. That's blank as a fart pod.
But if you just Google blank as a fart, I'm sure you'll come across some way to contact us.
Yet.
Just Google us.
It'll probably lead you to us.
Let me try it right now.
Somewhere, somehow. If not, Instagram is generally the way to go. But yeah, like, comment, share, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Help us get bigger. Anyway, ready to kick off the recap?
Let's do it.
All right, let's dive in. This week's episode begins with a familiar shot as we have that slow pan across the mantle of the fireplace in the Palmer living room. We see that familiar 8x10 of prom queen Laura, but this time it is accompanied by one of Leland in happier and saner times. Excuse me. It's now 3 days after Leland's death, and Doc Hayward is getting ready to prepare Sarah for the memorial service with one of the usual sedatives.
I did think that was interesting. This is kind of the first time we've had a title, a passing of time title.
Yeah, like a little screen cap there. Not something you see very often. Sarah declines the sedative, implying that she wants to make sure that she's mentally fully present for the service, for the both of them, Leland and Laura. As she continues to struggle with the situation, Cooper, who is also in the room, does his best to explain to her that it wasn't ultimately Leland who was responsible for the multiple tragedies in her recent life. Sarah understands this as she has seen Bob in her visions, but laments that everything she's loved is now gone. Cooper tries to comfort her by telling her of Leland's final moments, how he saw Laura in the light, and how she forgave him and accepted him. Sarah does seem to find some strength in the tale as she musters a brave but sad smile before we get a call back to the ominous lingering shot from the base of the stairs.
I think this is a wild sequence. First of all, Cooper's dialogue here is cringy. And then I find it kind of wild that he's the one there.
And not
consoling
Truman.
Her, and he's he touches her on the forehead and then on the heart, and I'm just like, what?
I'm getting the feeling that this was a reshoot because you also never see Cooper and Sarah in the same frame.
Oh, that's possible.
So I get the feeling that this was originally shot with somebody else standing in that role. Maybe Truman, maybe Margaret.
It's just weird.
I can see Margaret doing the touch to the forehead, but yeah, it does seem like Cooper is an odd choice for this part, other than like he's kind of like the resident sage. He does seem to be the wisest person in town at this point.
And then even
At least
she
the only one who doesn't speak in riddles.
and this is the most unhinged she's ever. I mean, most hinged. Like she's the most like locked down. Like she's pretty chill. Like I don't need the sedative because I'm fine. She does. Usually she's just like ah.
Yeah, yeah. Sarah is generally manic in at least
Oh yeah.
one way or another in the
Yes.
scenes that we've seen her in. I think this is probably the best performance we see from Grace Zabriskie for this part of the show.
Probably. Probably.
It's just this first this first act in general feels very real to me.
Oh.
And I mean, I've been to two memorial services already this year, so maybe I can relate in that regard. But it rang very true to me in that
I don't
respect.
find what Cooper is saying not to be true. I just find it weird that Cooper's saying it
No,
and
no, no. And I'm not specifically referring to this particular scene
gotcha.
as much as I am what follows. Um, yeah, but yeah, again, Cooper, what he says is not out of character for him by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, it's not a whole lot different than what he said to Leland, to be honest with you. I would consider it a little less cringe, to be honest, from my perspective. I thought the Leland stuff was far more melodramatic. But yeah, I get where you're coming from. There are odd choices all around. The one thing I did notice about this was not only like is that whole shot just a close up of Sarah as Cooper is talking, but his speech is pretty low
Oh yeah.
in the
Mm-hmm.
mix.
Mm-hmm.
And I get the feeling that that was done intentionally to kind of,
Like she's not really listening.
well, not she's struggling to focus.
Maybe.
Like, I mean, her eyes are closed the whole time he's speaking. And yeah, so she's kind of distant from, she's close to disassociating from the moment. But she's kind of using his voice as that anchor to stay there. And eventually, he is the one that like kind of helps her. Okay, I'm ready. Let's go. So
I
maybe
feel
it's
like
Cooper just because he was the last one with Leland.
I feel
Maybe
like the
that's how you
doc.
justify it.
I feel like the doc could have been the one doing this, and maybe they tried it with him and then it didn't work. Because like I feel like
Could be.
if he was there to do this, and then like what that whole point of that, and then maybe they had a discussion and it just didn't work. Maybe they felt it didn't work,
Hmm.
and so they brought someone else in to do it. But it's still just a
Or
weird choice.
Jacoby, potentially Jacoby.
Oh my god! Don't get me on. Don't start me on this shit, dude. Anyway, how is that guy not dead? Anyway, okay.
Moving on. Now a few hours have passed. We're at the reception back at the Palmer home, where the locals are loading up the table with copious amounts of delicious-looking homemade food. Not gonna lie, a lot of that looked really good.
Yeah, it starts out really kind of Thanksgiving, well, like a ham Thanksgiving dinner, or like a,
Yeah,
and then it gets kind of more broader. But like at first, it's like very like ham and sweet potatoes, and I don't know.
yeah,
It's
the
pretty
veggie
funny.
tray.
It's pretty funny.
But they make it that big old tray of pastries. No donuts though. I notice.
But that was a fun choreographed scene. How they just kept like laying them down just perfectly in timed and slightly moving things. It was a cool
Hmm.
shot.
Yeah, the cool long pan over the table. I like that too. We visit briefly with Nadine wearing her teenage Sunday best as she admires the shininess of her shoes and tries to stay out of the way. Back at the table, Hank is loading up not one but two plates, but don't fret, one of them is for Sarah. He makes sure to tell Norma that while passing her as she talks with Ed. He delivers the food to Sarah in a kind, if overbearing manner. She's flanked by Eileen Hayward and Audrey, who makes a verbal jab at Hank's boorish attempt at helpfulness. Donna seeks out Big Ed to ask about James and try to figure out why he blames himself for everybody else's misfortune. Ed's not able to offer much in the way of advice other than, oh, things get better, darling.
It's
Kind of,
it's
yeah,
funny
kind of
that
generic
it's
here.
funny that but then Nadine comes back. But it's funny that Nadine is acting like a teenager, and what's her name is a teenager supposedly in the show. Donna.
Yeah.
I keep forgetting all their
Way
names.
more mature here.
But it's just so funny that like I don't know. It's just such a
Yeah,
weird.
I was half expecting her to light up a cigarette. You know. No, I think Bobby's the one who gets to do that in an appropriate place. We should be having a counter of like
Oh, the
all the
kids
places
smoking.
people light up. Well, just everybody in general, like the places they light up cigarettes in this series that would just be completely unacceptable in this day and age. Like, I mean, what was it like 2 episodes? Or no, it was just last week where when Donna's in the living room with Leland, she just lights
She
up
just
a
lights
cigarette
up.
right there.
Just like, hey, didn't
Just
you
like,
know?
Easy as you please. I mean, I guess she thinks she can get Sarah's a smoker, and she knows Sarah smokes in the house, so
I just think,
maybe she knows it's acceptable
but that's one of
already.
those things that could have been
But yeah,
cool.
that's like,
But that could have been one of those things that's cool in the show that like Leland would have been upset with her about, and then if she would see, this is where the thing where like I wish the show was better written because like if she had been testing Leland, because if the kids kind of were starting to figure out that she would, and then she smoked, and then he didn't do anything about it, it'd be a clue that something was going on.
right.
The show was better
because
written,
he would always chastise
right?
Laura in the past for smoking.
And then not. I don't know. There's just
Wait a
like
minute, why is
there's some cool idea concepts that could have been used as character development, all kinds of stuff, investigation clues, and sometimes I just feel like they're just being used to be cool and edgy, and it's just a really throwaway, really ultimately.
In a lot of cases, I think that is true.
Oh, 100%. Oh yeah.
But it was 91.
I know. I'm trying not to be that harsh, but that is, so long ago.
I get you. Honestly, yeah, this episode is really where the show feels dated because it really goes into kind of like topical drama stuff, kind of soap opera-y plot lines that don't fly in the modern era.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to get a lot of that over the upcoming 12 weeks. Precious little of the metaphysical stuff until, it'll happen again. But it's going to take a while. Major Briggs arrives and greets Dr. Jacoby, who has just returned from his sabbatical in Hawaii. Cooper and Harry are also present. Over by the food table, Mayor Milford and his...
It does feel like a reunion show. Like everyone's back. The gang's all together.
Yeah, and a lot of these people seem a little too happy to see each other under the circumstances. Cooper in particular seems kind of cheerful. But it's sometimes memorial services can be like that. Again,
sure.
Sometimes you are happy to see people that you haven't seen in many years, or just to see the community as a whole. Twin Peaks being the small and tight knit place that it is,
right?
You get the feeling that this sort of thing is very commonplace. Over by the food table, Mayor Milford and his brother Doug are in the early stages of a verbal spat, seemingly over Doug's much younger female companion. Doesn't she feed you? Major Briggs asks Cooper about his plans now that his task in Twin Peaks is done. Cooper replies that a little vacation might be in order. The Major offers Coop an invitation to start that vacation with a night fishing excursion, which Cooper happily accepts.
Very exciting. I do have to say one other comment while this whole scene is happening. Mm-hmm. The score for this sequence is obnoxious. The fucking jazz drumming. It's just like, dude, what? Can we just maybe nothing?
I was just happy to have something different, man.
I don't know, man. It's just so
not
fucking
a variation
obnoxious
on the same theme we hear 3-4 times a week already.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I'm not even sure who's responsible. Like, did Badalamenti do all the music? Like, even the what do they call that?
It just seems like a loop.
Not of interstitial, but
it just seems like a loop of like
incidental music. That's what it is.
It's just like, ugh.
It does kind of sound like Badalamenti, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
He does love his brush drumming. Nadine approaches Ed, concerned that her shoes are shiny enough for everyone to see her underwear in. After Ed reassures her that she has nothing to worry about, he fixes upon Donna the stare of an utterly defeated man. I liked that line too. I was proud of that one. Back at the couch, Sarah reminisces upon a memory of Laura and Donna making a childhood promise about being best friends forever, affirming her determination to remember the good things. At the buffet, the Milford brothers have escalated their disagreement into ear pulling and shin kicking. They're separated by Ed and Harry, who does his best to remind the two that they're at a goddamn funeral reception.
Goddamn funeral.
Old men misbehaving. What else is new? Pete and Doc Hayward fill in Coop on the history between the two brothers who have been feuding for the better part of 50 years. The mayor's current gripe with his brother Doug, who is the local newspaper magnate, is his engagement to a much younger woman who is about to become his fifth wife. With a broad smile, Cooper tells his new friends, "I'm going to miss this place."
Yep.
He might get to spend more time there than he thinks.
So well, that was my whole thing. It's like what
Foreshadowing.
Well, yeah, but
you were waiting for this.
I was just waiting for like what fucking shit gimmick are they going to use to get him to stay in this goddamn town?
What's the MacGuffin? At least it was a logical one, right?
I guess.
No, it makes sense in the context of the story as a whole.
Yeah, until it
didn't come out of nowhere. For the first time in many, many, many weeks, we get a scene set at Twin Peaks High School.
Oh, yes, I put that in, holy shit, the high school.
Yeah, and none of the high school kids that we're familiar with are in this scene.
No, it's an adult.
It's an adult. This is where Ed and Dr. Jacoby are trying to convince the principal to allow Nadine to enroll. An excitable Nadine interrupts to let Ed know that cheerleading tryouts are this week. And he convinces her to focus her energy by practicing her splits.
Yep. What a weird thing, man.
Yes, yeah. At least they kept this scene short. Now we're at the Great Northern, where Cooper is packing up and getting ready to move on. Audrey stops by for a last visit and can't help but turn it into another little flirting session. She tries to dig a bit deeper into Cooper's past, speculating that someone must have hurt him very badly. He surprises us all by responding with an honest and detailed account of his most recent experience with love. She was a material witness to a crime that he and his partner Wyndham Earle were assigned to protect. But they failed, and she was killed, dying in Cooper's arms. He was badly wounded, and Earle went insane. Audrey is pretty clearly taken aback by the story, finding herself speechless. This was a weird, out of left field kind of thing.
Yeah, but at the end, she still goes like, "You're the best" or something. I forget what the scene.
Yeah,
she still says.
I got more to it. But
okay,
I had to stop to say how weird it was that Cooper's just like, almost pleasant about his retelling of like the worst moment of his life.
Pleasant and very matter of fact. It's a fun scene, kind of, but then it's also kind of cringy because of that. He's just like, let me tell you. And then she's like, kind of tearing up, but then she's like, but you're the best. Later.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
This is another scene that felt like it was heavily restructured in post. And, we don't really have like director's commentaries to expound on that, so.
Well, this is one of the reasons it's one of the worst episodes, in my opinion, currently, is it's very tone deaf. Like, it's not tone deaf in, like, any kind, but just, like, its tone shifts. Like, it doesn't adhere. Like, it should be one way, and then it fluctuates. It's never focused enough.
It feels like it's written by someone who doesn't necessarily know the characters.
Well, sure.
It's like,
but I feel like the actors
an outline of bullet points to fulfill.
Maybe, but then the actor should still be like, we should probably just focus on this. But everyone's like, no, let's make it. No, just do it lighthearted. It's like I feel like Coop, the direction should have been they kind of flirt a little bit, and then he gets kind of dark.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen. Just,
No, it
just keep.
doesn't.
It's just
And
like the
this
direction
is,
is just keep it light. It's just like okay.
and I'll offer a little foreshadowing by saying that there are details that Cooper has left out. There is
Dun dun
another
dun.
retelling of this story that he'll have with Harry later that is far more detailed and is told in a far more appropriate mood.
But that's fine. But and that's interesting. Then, but this here's the problem with this episode and this sequence. Then, after he says it, the way because of the way it's just offhandedly loaded, just like nah, I don't really give a shit.
Yeah,
I don't care.
and as
I don't want to
speechless
know
as
more.
Yeah, and as speechless as Audrey is, like in response to this story, for her to just like veer right back to the okay, happy, cheerful flirting, and
Yeah, right.
yeah, very, very strange. And again, I'm kind of calling that like Cooper's whole speech here was added after the fact and was shot with a stand-in for Audrey, and her reaction shots are
Maybe.
something different. That's how it feels to me, because like you said, it feels disjointed, and it just it doesn't feel like
It's like
the intentional
I
vision
enjoy
for
them
this scene.
flirting, and I get her coming by to say goodbye, kind of, and
Yeah,
but then it's like I'm gonna just drop the like he's basically that's the scene where he's gonna drop the hammer on her, but he never really drops the hammer on her. He just tells the story in this. Hey,
yeah. He just tells, and yeah, he just tells an awful story in a way that's like, well, you wanted to know.
want to go? Oh, never mind. I was gonna
Yeah.
say you want to go get some ice cream now, but that's coming later.
No, that's
Anyway,
later. Yeah, it's a pretty heavy story to lay on her in the moment. But when Cooper reassures her that he does like her and he does think of her as a friend, her mood brightens and she promises that when she's all grown up, he'd better watch out for her. He tells her it's a deal, and she exits with the line, "There's just one problem with you. You're perfect."
yes, that's what it is.
And that seems a very strange thing to say to him after the story that he just told her about failing the love of his life to the point of her death.
So she becomes an FBI agent, and she's in the return, right?
Audrey?
Yes. Can I make that? You don't have to answer right now, but can I make that call right now, and you can just rub it in my face when I'm wrong?
We'll just move on.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, it's hard for me to avoid spoilers for
I
the
know. All
return.
right. All right. All right. I'll be good.
So
I'll
I'm just
behave.
I'm just going to
I'll
stick to my
behave.
commitment to say nothing about it
I'll
and
behave.
comment along the lines of, that's an interesting take. I wonder if other people had that idea.
Probably. Well, not at the time, because it wasn't a
Audrey may
sequel.
lose her interest in this whole FBI thing. She is a
Probably.
teenage girl after all.
Yeah, and they're fucking shoving her off on Bobby. Anyway.
You know, believe it or not, Bobby is not the type to mess around.
You got me fooled.
Yeah. I've lost my place here.
Yes.
We're actually with Bobby and Shelley at the Johnson household, where Bobby is admiring himself in Leo's suit, looking at the reflection in a mirror held up by the useless rolling lump of humanity himself. Bobby is really hyping himself up for this meeting with Ben Horn, his latest get-rich-quick scheme, which, let's not forget, is simply blackmail. Shelley does not share Bobby's enthusiasm, as caregiver fatigue is really starting to take a toll on her. Bobby is ever dismissive of her concerns, but I think she's finally starting to lose her patience with him a little bit here.
It's like they're married and they have a kid.
A special needs kid.
Sure.
As Harry enters his office eating from a bag of donuts that he has placed inside of his hat, he is greeted by an unexpected visitor, Catherine, who has finally shed her Tojo Mira makeup for the first time this season.
For her
in
Toja Mirror
episode
mirror
10.
for her Lost in the Wilderness makeup. Like I got dirt
Yeah.
on the side of my face and there's some scuffing on I got my walking stick. I've been out in
Yeah.
the woods, out being a wilderness person.
For 2 whole weeks. Well, let's not forget she wasn't necessarily in the woods, so to speak,
No, I know, but she's
but she was trying to
lying.
give the
Yes.
impression that she walked several miles to get back to town.
Yes.
Yeah, she's dressed in her most outdoorsy gear, looking disheveled and dirty to boot. She tells Harry a mostly true story of how she found herself in the mill fire with Shelley, and with great conviction also explains how she feels that a guardian angel guided her to the old family cabin miles deep in the woods,
An
where
Asian
she
guardian
sustained.
angel named Tojimura. Anyway.
Right, yeah. A makeup expert guardian angel. A 90s makeup expert. They
Anyway.
had limitations back then, folks.
Mm-hmm.
She sustained herself on canned tuna while she awaited further attempts on her life. Now, we know that at least some of this is bullshit because there's a lot she's leaving out. There's also still that legitimate $5 million check from a Tokyo bank that we need to figure out where the hell that came from. But I'm thinking most of what she told Harry about up to leading to and up to her finding the cabin is true.
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, this is also cringe for me a little bit because it's like I mean, as a watcher, we know it actually happened. Are we too? I don't know. Only you can really answer this. Like Truman's level of acceptance on certain things, I kind of question whether he's actually believing it or not.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like she has him,
Oh yeah.
so he believes all of this.
Yeah, he's 100%
Okay, all right.
believes this.
Because sometimes
And
he's smart, sometimes with Coop, and then sometimes he's just like way off base. So I'm
well,
just
I
like,
mean,
is
like you
he
said,
really being played by this or not? I guess.
the majority of what she's telling him is true, so it's easy to sway him in that regard. Um,
I mean, being
there's
lost in
just
the
certain
woods and the tuna
pieces of the
fish, all of
last
that's not
two
true.
weeks that she's leaving out.
No, that's true.
Well, I mean,
She
finding
did.
her
She
way
did
to the
come across
cabin,
Shelley. Yes,
and she probably did come across her family cabin.
we don't know that. That's we. I mean,
Well,
we
we
would have to have
know
seen
we
that.
know
We would have had to have seen that. We if we haven't seen it, it could be a lie.
fair enough. But she didn't tell him any lies as far as like what led up to her going to the mill.
Right. Okay.
So, in that regard. And then I do like I honestly think that this speech from Catherine is probably like a big part of what earned her the Emmy nomination for this season. This season,
This right here.
yeah, this particular scene.
Oh,
This feels just
interesting.
like very honest and very earnest from Catherine, which has been like out of character for her. She's she's the very arrogant type, and this was like she's convinced Harry that this was a humbling moment for her. Like there's a big speech about how like I was afraid for the first time in my life. Growing up the richest girl in town, you can imagine that she doesn't find herself in situations like this very often. So yeah, I think that there was some genuineness to this humility that she displayed in this story and to Harry. And the vulnerability in the telling of this story is very real.
Man, she got nominated for this.
I'm saying I suspect that. I'd rather think it was for this than for Tojimura. You know,
Interesting. That's interesting. Who?
but I will say
She
that I
didn't
don't
win
think
though.
she did not win.
Okay. Do we know who
I
she
don't
lost
think
to?
anybody won. I'd have to look it up.
Okay, we can look later.
Probably somebody on 30 something or China Beach would be my guess.
China Beach.
Dana Delaney. Let's say it was Dana Delaney. Dick has arrived at the sheriff's station to try and sweet talk Lucy, who is busy changing out a fluorescent light bulb atop a ladder. He claims to have quit smoking and tells Lucy that their bambino will be good for him and will encourage him to be a more responsible person. As Andy eavesdrops around the corner, Huck tries to non verbally talk some sense into him. While Dick goes on to explain to Lucy that he's joined a Big Brother-ish mentorship program to try and learn how to be a more nurturing parent.
We'll stop there for a second. I love when
Yeah.
Hawk enters into the with them on the ladder, and he kind of
Mhm.
like was about to say something. He's like, no, 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 and he just like exits out. I think that's the best. I actually giggled at that as I kind of
Yeah.
giggle is not wrong. Kind of like a huh.
Yeah. A
Anyway,
chuckle.
a chuckle. Thank you. A manly
That's
chuckle.
all.
Yes, but I was just like, that's good. That's some good comic timing there. In my head, I'm just like, oh, here we go with this fucking three-way bullshit that I. But
Yeah,
at
I
least
would
Hawk,
definitely say
when Hawk's
Hawk is
involved,
our
yeah,
deadpan
yeah,
king.
just kind of fun. And then he's
We stand Hawk.
and then we talk about it some more with Hawk, but like Hawk trying to coach Andy, but it just doesn't really work. So
Yeah. But, Lucy's a different kind of woman than Hawk is used to, I would say. Definitely not the college educated type. Where did we leave off? When Lucy seems to be impressed by this change in Dick, that's when Andy decides to make his move. And that move is to join the other two on the ladder and say, let's all not fight and just be friends. Mom always said there shouldn't be any fussing while she's got a bun in the oven. And honestly, it seems to work on Lucy. She seems pretty swayed by it. But Hawk certainly does not seem to understand what the hell is going on.
okay, so I disagree with that take on it, Gabe.
Yeah?
My take on it is as he's walking up the ladder and he's being aggressive,
Mm-hmm.
she's getting hot that he's being aggressive and she's getting into it. And she's like, oh, yeah, you shouldn't be doing this, shouldn't be doing that, shouldn't blah, blah. And she's kind of tuning in on it more and more and more. But then when he
Mm-hmm.
offers his hand to shake,
That kind of deflates
it
her.
deflates her. So like she's like, oh, he's gonna be a man. He's gonna show up. He's gonna fight this. Because I don't think she really likes Dick ultimately.
Well, but I also don't think she wants Andy to like throw a punch.
No, I
at
don't
him
think
or
she does.
something.
But I think she wants him to be just chivalrous
Because
and just throw down in the sense of like just take her, like claim her.
well, but she also said that she expected the two of them to get along until the baby is born and
I
they
don't
find
know.
out who the
I just
father
the
is.
way I read that scene is way
So,
different because like she's about ready to kiss him, and then as soon as he hands his hand over, it just deflates her, and it's just like I don't know. And this is one of those things, and you can look at it any way you want to, and different directors or different people, but
hmm.
there's also always that thing where people say one thing but mean another. So even if she said she wants everyone to get along, she probably already has her mind made up as long as that person that she wants follows through. And I think that's ultimately what's going on here, but it's also just so cringe and goofy. So whatever.
Yes.
I just feel like she was about ready to let Andy win, but then Andy went for the threesome. He went for the I'll shake your hand and be a good person. And I don't think that's what she wants, but that's
Yeah.
my take on it.
She just wants Andy to stand up and say, Dick, blood out.
Well, I think that's what Andy needs. That's what Andy's needed to be through this entire show. He just needs to stand up for himself. Stand up,
Hmm.
like the whole gun thing. It's just like it's kind of a repeating story of what they're trying to make him. He just needs to stand up, and that's what she wants. She wants him to stand up, and he thinks he's doing what she wants because he even says it. He reiterates it to Hawk later. Well, she wants you to do
Yeah.
this and that. And it's like, and I'm
Yeah.
like that. She says that, but I don't think that's what she means. So that's where I'm at on this.
I guess we'll find out.
She ends up with
But
Dick,
now,
and Andy dies. Cool, good story.
Andy gets possessed by Bob and kills everyone. The end.
The end. Way more efficient. Super good at
Right?
shooting.
Yeah, there you go. Very Lynchian. Hey, Andy was a dead shot when it came time to throw down.
True that.
Let's not forget.
True that.
When it was important, Andy had the stuff.
That's only because Bob had taken him over, though.
Now, Cooper has stopped into Harry's office to say goodbye. Harry has a couple of farewell gifts for him.
Oh boy.
One is a handmade fishing lure that Harry tied himself. A green-butted skunk.
The green butt skunk. And I'm thinking as he's saying that, why isn't our podcast called the green butt skunk?
Because this is the first time I remember seeing that phrase.
It's fucking hilarious, dude.
It's not bad. It's not bad. It would make a good podcast name too. Not gonna lie. But I think we're okay where we're at.
I was gonna name the episode on Twitch that, but because of the word "but," it was like no, censor. So
Seriously?
yeah.
Since when is "but" a dirty word?
Well,
Anyway, he also presents Coop with a Bookhouse Boys patch and what they consider an official membership. You're one of us now. Cooper is obviously moved at these gestures from this new friend that he's grown very close to in a very short amount of time. These guys really are kindred spirits, aren't they?
yeah. Cringy and schmaltzy as well.
Yeah, but it's believable. Like,
Is it?
I think they've got good chemistry together. Yeah,
I don't know. Okay.
I think they seem like genuinely good friends.
Gabe's working overtime on the defending.
I'm just saying it's believable.
I mean, I believe their friendship to be real. I just feel that the way that this episode, the director and the writing went about it, is not. That's what I'm saying. I believe Truman and Cooper are good friends, and I want to have that camaraderie and that kinship and that brothership that I see in so many other shows. This is just so heavy-handed and over the top and cue the violin. I don't know. It's just
the episode as a whole feels like it's lacking an element of maturity.
Yes, 100%.
That honestly wouldn't come to television until a little later on.
Well, I'm sure it's there on China Beach.
Yeah, it might be. We'll see. I've never watched an episode of China Beach, to be honest with you.
I'm just throwing that out. I could be wrong.
Or 30-something, for that matter.
I don't know that show either.
He announces his departure to the rest of the gang with a couple of quick toots on his hand-whittled whistle. Ooh, there's a tongue twister of a phrase for you. Hand-whittled whistle.
Hand-whittled.
It's a real Wizard of Oz moment kind of here. Or, Frodo headed off to the Grey Havens, whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
Cooper offering individual praise to Hawk, Andy, and Lucy before the moment is ruined by the arrival of a Royal Mounted Canadian Police.
Wait. You mean before the arrival of Prince's dad and Eric from Willow?
It's Eric.
Eric, Mad Mardigan's friend.
A-I-R-K.
Eric. Yeah, A-I-R-K. I know. Eric.
Honestly, anyway. I just found that out today.
Oh, as soon as I saw it, as soon as I saw that guy walking, I was like, "Holy shit! I haven't seen this guy in anything else except that."
That's not who I thought of when I saw FBI, though. And then we'll finish this. Let me finish the recap, and I'll move on to that.
Go ahead.
Royal Canadian Mounted Policeman, accompanied by another member of the FBI, Special Agent Roger Hardy of Internal Affairs, who has arrived to let Cooper know that he is suspended from the Bureau without pay. After a dramatic commercial break, the action moves to Truman's office, where Cooper confirms his suspicions that this is related to the rescue of Audrey from One-Eyed Jacks. However, Hardy implies that there is more to it than just that. So yeah, Hardy, Clarence Williams III. I remember him chiefly as Samson from Half-Baked.
Sure.
The wheelchair-bound, high-level pot dealer.
I never saw Half-Baked, so...
What?
Well, I don't smoke weed, and I don't exist in that minority of people that enjoy that kind of comedy, so...
Oh, my God. I think the box office receipts would say it's more than a minority. Oh, it's a pretty classic role.
He's in I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker. He's in so many movies, dude. He's in a lot of shit.
A fun bit of trivia: he co-starred in the Mod Squad with Peggy Lipton, who we know as Norma.
Yes. There you go.
So yeah, Clarence Williams III and Gavin O'Herlihy is the name of the ginger Canadian actor there.
Yep.
Who was actually born in Ireland.
Yes.
So,
They're both dead. Also, rest in peace, both of you
Yes,
guys.
both of them. Yeah. Fun story. Gavin's father is an actor as well. Dan O'Herlihy,
Hmm.
who most people remember as the old man in RoboCop,
Which old
the
man?
big CEO.
Oh, okay,
You call this a glitch?
gotcha.
You know
Interesting. That's
that
cool.
guy.
That's cool.
So yeah, that's Eric's dad.
Yeah, Eric. Whatever. As soon as I saw, it, I was like, "Holy shit, that's a dude from Willow!" I literally because I've never
Uh,
seen him in anything else.
yeah, you kind of wonder about actors like that. And Willow was, us being the same age, I'm sure Willow was just as important to you as it
Oh,
was to
huge.
me.
Still is. Massive. I love that movie. And I love that kind of where Mad Mardigan is hanging in the cage and he comes by and they're talking and throwing shit at each
Yeah,
other and
yeah. They thought you
anyway.
were a woman.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. I love that shit. Anyway.
Yeah,
I love Willow a
they
lot,
they
so
yeah they had good banter. Did you watch the Disney revival series?
yeah, Brendan and I both I really liked it. So I know people have a lot of issues with it, but I really enjoyed it. So,
I liked parts of it.
I liked it a lot. I thought
I
it was
had a lot of
fast.
issues, but I thought there
It
was.
wasn't slowly paced like a lot of other fucking shows. It really got to it. It was funny.
I
I liked
had
a
I
lot of it.
had issues with the decision to turn it into a Cobra Kai style teen drama. I felt that kind of contrasted the spirit of the original film. But
I don't
we
really
are getting
feel.
way off
Let's not get off
topic
topic
here.
here. Let's keep going on topic. It's about the kids of the people that we loved.
Fair
How could
enough.
it
Yeah,
not be that? And Willow gets a lot of screen time anyway. Anyway. I
he does, but
disagree with
he's the
that, Gabe.
worst character in the show.
Well, yeah, he was never a good actor. Come on.
No, his daughter acts circles around
Yeah,
him. It was embarrassing to watch.
yes, but he's fine. He's good enough.
He's fine.
It's fine. I mean, it's
He's
better than
way
anyone in
better.
this fucking show. I mean,
I honestly, his comedy work is bar none. Did you ever see Life's Too Short?
no, but I've seen clips from it, with Gervais, some of that Gervais
Yeah, yeah,
and Johnny Depp stuff, and I don't know. I've seen little
yeah,
clips on social
yeah.
media, but I've never
It's worth
watched a
your
full
time.
episode. All
It's
right, we
worth your
can
time. It's
we can
for Netflix.
return to the regularly
Yeah.
scheduled programming.
After our little divergence into the career of Warwick Davis here.
Beep boop 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 beep beep bop. Where were we?
Oh shit.
Clarence. Oh, we were
Oh
talking
yeah, yeah,
about
yeah.
Willow. Yeah, so it's
Okay. Now stop that. Now we're at the Great Northern where Bobby is getting antsy as he's getting the runaround from Ben Horn's staff. Audrey takes notice of Bobby's plight, and after a quip about his outfit and a mutual discussion about their lack of school, Audrey manages to get Bobby a few seconds with her father.
I fucking hate this.
Those few seconds, however, are not productive, as Ben, who does not look at all well, quickly has Bobby thrown out by his security staff. The look on Audrey's face implies that this was kind of her plan all along, and there seems to be more to it as she keeps up the ruse to rescue Bobby from the burly security guard. Then she gets one of the more memorable lines of the episode as Bobby offers to thank her with ice cream. Tell me what you hate about this.
Because she's flirting with him.
She's not.
She's totally flirting with him.
She's
Oh
using
yeah,
what
because
she knows.
I like what you want a cone. Yeah, I want a cone because I like to lick. It's totally flirt. That's a flirt line, Gabe. That's a
Yeah.
fucking flirt line, and she's flirting the entire time.
I'm just saying that's her language. That's the only
She's got
way that
fuck me.
Audrey knows how
No,
to deal with men in general.
I don't know. She's being a dick to her dad. Why
She does
can't
that anyway.
I
That's her
would just
natural
prefer if
state.
she was actually a dick to him or something different. Like you can't be doing. I don't know. And what is even the point of this? Like why?
Bobby
what-
just wants to get paid. to
Yeah,
do nothing.
Bobby just wants to get paid. So why do we need to have Bobby and Audrey together? Like why does that have to become?
See?
I don't.
Yeah, that's the question.
This is
Isn't it? What does
just
Audrey get
to
out of
make
this?
Shelley angry, jealous that they're spending time together. It's just so fucking. Come on. We have been making TV shows prior to the 90s, and that same kind of bullshit has been happening for decades. You're telling me in the 90s they couldn't come up with something, an original idea that wasn't like just this like fucking, we don't know what to, let's just do this. Soup.
I'll tell you, you don't have to worry about that going much farther.
Good.
That's not.
But is that what it is?
Where this is leading?
Is that what? But they don't use it at that at all.
No.
Shelley doesn't get jealous of Audrey spending time with Bobby.
She does, but not.
See, they do use it.
Okay, they do. But
don't tell me like I'm not a writer and a director of things, Gabe.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not going to spoil this any further.
Yeah. Let's not spoil it. That's fine.
I'm just go where you think it's going to go. At least not entirely.
So it will. Okay. Thank you. Thank God they're not that stupid. Okay. It just seems so like. What do we do with Audrey? Oh, let's just hook her up with Bobby.
Well, I'm not going to lie. A lot of the rest of the season is, what do we do with Audrey? So
I'm sure you've mentioned that before, and I'm just like,
I thought you'd be happy about the fact that she did get a decent amount of screen time.
Yeah, she gets a lot of great screen time. I just
and
it's
don't screen like time where she's not a helpless damsel in distress to boot.
Just a dumbass. Just
she's got a scheme. She's got an angle here.
I hope it's to get money for school to join the FBI.
To join the FBI. In the conference room at the sheriff's station, Hardy is interrogating Cooper regarding his activities at One-Eyed Jack's. Cooper is completely forthcoming and truthful about his visits there, but apparently he caused a bit of a headache for Mountie King, who had a 6-month sting operation in place to nail Jean Renault on drug trafficking charges. Now, not only are 3 people dead, Blackie, Emery Battis, and the guard who Hawk threw a knife into, but the operation is blown, and apparently there's some missing cocaine. Oh, and Renault's in the wind as well. Cooper questions whether the Bureau is holding him responsible for the deaths and the missing drugs. Hardy says they're looking into it, along with the DEA. He gives Cooper 24 hours to mount a defense and orders him to surrender his gun and badge. King calls Truman into the room as Cooper exits. The 2 friends pass each other in the doorway, and Harry offers the Bookhouse Boy signal, letting Cooper know he's got his back. And boy, does he ever, as he shows the 2 visitors only the coldest possible courtesy, while flatly refusing to cooperate with their investigation and staunchly defending Cooper, telling them their information is, quote, dead wrong. After telling Hardy and King to stuff it, he offers them coffee on their way out the door. This, I think, is my favorite Harry scene so far in the series. I just love his just completely calm demeanor. He's like, nope, I am 100% with Cooper on this. Say whatever you want. I know you can't touch me. Fuck off. I'm helping my friend.
Right.
And he does that with, like I said, that super cold courtesy. Like, he's not rude about it up until the whole stuff it line, which I think is probably the most profane thing he's ever said in his life, judging by the looks of it.
I think my only problem with this scene I just don't like the way it's handled.
How do you mean?
Like, it's the 2 shot, and then it's the 1 shot from their perspective, but like it's the TV and like both of, it's just like this back and forth.
Just too generic.
It's just, I don't know. And maybe it's because they're there on different days, so they're just running lines, which is fine.
Well, I mean, there is the 1 shot of the Mountie. I think, maybe Clarence might not have been available as many days as they needed him. This episode, we're seeing a lot of the limitations of weekly television.
Right. It just feels. I just wish you could, another shot of like some tension, like some building momentum. Like a wide shot of all 3 of them, and them getting yelled at by Truman.
Yeah,
Just like this, like not
like a
like
shot from the end of the table with all of them
all of them,
standing.
and all of them
Yeah,
kind of
because we
reacting as
got a couple of
opposed.
those in earlier scenes in
It's
that room.
just
Yeah,
it's just so stilted, and you want it kill when you just cut back and forth. It kills the energy sometimes, and sometimes you
yeah,
wanted the energy to like kind of travel through a scene,
it takes you out of the moment.
and I
Yeah,
just like so I just kind of watch it, and I'm just kind of like, yeah, that's cool, Truman, but it's just like I want you want more of a payoff than what we get sometimes,
yeah,
and it
yeah.
just doesn't. It just sucks, and I just uh, the director, the woman who she directed like a episode before this is like her second episode. I don't know. It's just a lot of what's going on in this. I mean, I get it. Part of it is the writing, but it just there's no real energy. Like the only really awesome
Mhm.
shot that I saw in this was that first shot with the food. That tracking shot over the table was a really cool
Yeah,
idea, but then everything
yeah,
else is just kind of weak and uninteresting, and it just deflates. And like so, in a scene where Truman's like really standing up for his friend, it just doesn't carry that energy that you
yeah.
want. So
Not from a cinematic
right,
standpoint.
right.
Yeah, you're
So
right.
you really have to
This
like
feels like utility television.
you really have to just be a fan of that character and like, yeah, he stuck it to him and feel that
Yeah.
way about it. Whereas me, as a person who's never seen this, didn't watch a lot of TV in the '90s, really. Uh,
Hmm.
Watching it's just like it just is really dead. It just feels really, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, uninspired.
But it's also crazy too
Yeah.
because it's like, I mean, obviously, this show's on its decline.
Hmm.
Whatever. Because there has been, aside from Lynch, directors that have put energy into shots. But it definitely
And there
feels
will
like
be
this.
again.
There definitely just feels like, man, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, from an artistic standpoint, this is a valley
Yeah,
in the graph
yeah.
for sure. This all feels like let's just get it done episode from a lot of aspects, and we're going to see a lot more of that in the next scene. If you're looking to escape janky editing, we're not going to do it just yet.
But I just did want to agree with you. That, like, yeah, I think Truman is like, he's showing his true colors. His friend Cooper, he's standing up for him. I agree.
Yeah,
I just wish that
this
fucking.
is yeah one of those defining scenes
It
for
just
him.
feels like that
And
could have
yeah,
been a
it
scene
could
that's
have
a
been
home fucking run, man. That could have been something that's like, roll credits.
and yeah, I think judging from the standards of the day,
Yeah,
it would be considered that.
I got you.
But yeah, from moved goalposts, yeah, this feels like a missed opportunity. Gotcha. I understand what you're saying. So yes, now we move on to cheerleader tryouts at the high school. Guess who's there
I don't
in
even want to get into
line?
this. You can. I'm not even going to talk about this.
We're going to talk about the technical aspects at the end, at least. This is a pretty brief scene, so we don't need much
It
commentary.
felt like it went on forever.
Dude, just you wait. The cheerleading coach overcomes a moment of shock when she sees 35-year-old Nadine taking her turn, but she warmly invites her to show us what you've got. And why don't you start us off with a little tumbling? So
A little
apparently,
tumbling.
yeah. Apparently, excess adrenaline makes you a brilliant Olympic level gymnast.
Clearly.
And apparently, a little bit of tumbling involves throwing a high school kid 20 feet into the air. Fortunately, he lands in the volleyball net, and a couple of his classmates break his fall. No one seems worse for the wear, and Nadine seems oddly proud and not distraught that she almost committed manslaughter.
So here's something I think is funny, and I don't quite understand it. So she tumbles down this like track path, this mat. She tumbles down it. Then,
Mm-hmm.
like a professional Olympian. Then she grabs him and throws him in the air. Right? He
Mm-hmm.
lands, and as he lands and crashes, on the back of his collar, it's like green stain, like grass stain.
Yeah, grass stain.
And it's like,
Yeah.
where did that come from? I don't know. It's just funny. Just like some of these like choices in continuity. It's like, well, he didn't land on the grass, though, guys.
Hey, sure, put a little stain on the back of his collar so you know he landed on the grass.
It's just funny. But yeah, it's so wild. What It's wild.
See, I want to know like what the hell they were thinking in the editing room. Like, there's the scene where she picks him up and throws him, where it, like actually goes in reverse.
Oh, it does like a yeah. I don't know what
Vert,
that's about.
vert,
Like
vert, vert.
grab.
And like, there's like a little dialogue that happens,
Mm-hmm.
but you're not seeing any. It's just such a weird scene, and so weirdly edited, and just it seems so slapdash and just fucking bush league. Like this is prime time television. Like, how much money did they spend on this?
Not enough on
So
this
that
scene. I'm
that
not even
particular
sure.
scene, like, I'm not sure what the fuck was going on here, but this was the scene where I'm like, okay, yeah, this might be like the worst episode that we've seen so far.
And here's my
Just as
problem.
far as like
Here's my
from a structured standpoint, it's just
here's my problem with this though. In a lot of ways, like that they brought her back into the school.
mhm.
Like I think now that you've reintroduced Jacoby, instead of bringing her back into school now, you just do some simple shit where she's like getting help with Jacoby. And then maybe
Yeah.
Jacoby recommends her going back to high school. Like, why stick her into high? Like, there's no real reason. I just don't understand it. They're just doing it because. And none of the other kids are in high school.
No.
They're
None of the other
supposedly
kids
in
are
high school, but like, yeah.
So
So
I will
random.
I will offer a little more foreshadowing and say this will not be the last time that Jacoby treats a patient by feeding into their delusions.
Cool.
Yeah.
I hope someone kills Jacoby.
That's harsh, dude.
He's not that
He's
good.
not hurting
Him and his
anybody.
fucking 3D glasses are hurting me.
They're hurting you.
They're hurting me.
They're hurting your sense of aesthetics.
It's just fucking dumb.
Well, speaking of fucking dumb, we get a quick peek at Leo's bedtime routine as Shelley brushes his teeth for him with an electric toothbrush while the phone rings in the background. She knows it's Bobby. She don't care. She's pissed that he waited all day long to call. She finally answers and confesses that she still loves her bad boy. But she's trying really hard to convey that this caregiver burnout is fucking real, and she just wants to be done with Leo, put him in a home. She doesn't want the money. She wants a life. I feel for her here. This isn't what she signed up for.
She's a good-looking girl. She can do better. She should just leave.
Damn.
She should just go to Portland, Oregon. Just go down south a little farther.
No, I hear the mayor is looking for someone to compete with his brother.
Back in the '90s, you could dance at Mary's, probably make a good amount of money, and probably put yourself through college, and you could be anything you want.
And then sing for a grunge band.
There you go. Yeah, L7 or
we're
something.
talking 90s Pacific Northwest.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, 100%.
Can you imagine Shelley fronting Hole?
Sure.
After completing her thought to Bobby, Shelley turns to look back at Leo and notices that the chair has moved all on its own a few inches toward her.
I will say this. This is a cool shot. So you're it's like an upward angle shot at Shelley on the phone, and then as the chair moves, it shoots through the wheel, the spokes.
Yeah.
That's a cool shot.
The
I was like,
wheel
okay,
continues
that's a
to
cool
creep
shot.
into
That's
the
a good
shot.
shot. Hey,
Yeah.
I did notice that. That's a good shot.
And you see the chair move without seeing Leo move.
Yeah, you don't really see the hand. You just kind of see it something happened.
Yeah, to see that the wheel's going forward.
Right.
So, yeah, I agree that was a well-shot little scene there.
Probably second unit. Had nothing to do with anybody else.
Yeah, probably.
I don't know.
Might
Do
see if that
second
second
units on
unit
TV?
director.
I don't know if they do second unit on.
I think they
this
have
show.
ADs.
Okay.
ADs might get those kinds of shots. Who knows? Anyway, now we're joining Vivian as she's arrived at the Double R Diner to see a dejected Norma packing up all the tablecloths and fancy decorations.
I wish it was the fucking David Lynch coffee cups.
Yeah.
Just drops them,
Smash
breaks
them.
them.
Smash them. Apparently, the MT Wentz review has finally been published, and it's not a flattering one. Norma's heart is further broken when Vivian reveals that she is, in fact, MT Wentz herself, and she is the one who wrote the brutal review. She continues to dismiss her daughter's feelings, and a fed-up Norma finally throws her mother out, bursting into tears as the door closes behind her.
One thing you forgot to mention though is that as the scene is starting, cue main theme of Twin Peaks because they play it through this entire
Alternate.
thing, and I'm just like, what does that theme have to do with any of this? It's just fucking fuck you.
Yeah. No, it's just the one they refer to as the love theme.
Yeah, the sad love theme that is, I guess, it's mother and daughter. Their love is lost here.
Yeah.
Being broken.
Yeah, this is the heartbroken one. Yeah. You know,
Yeah, what a choice.
much as I like
Interesting choice.
Peggy Lipton, I don't think she's real good in this scene. You know, she's all right, but I wouldn't highlight this scene as like an example of great acting.
I guess I'm also thinking, like, do they actually send top writers out to fucking review diners? Like, that seems like a fucking niche other thing of, like, I don't know. It just seems weird.
A heavily contrived plot point.
Thank you, Gabe.
Yeah. Took the words right out of your mouth.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, so kind of glad that story's wrapped up. Or at least that half of it. Because meanwhile, Vivian's husband Ernie is having a much better time. Seems as though this hunting trip that he went on with Hank is, in fact, a gambling and whoring trip.
And as
That's right.
young Gabe, young, you know, what, 13-year-old Gabe, you get a little skin action on this one.
A little bit, yeah. I had completely forgotten we do get another trip back to One-Eyed Jack's. This scene is very cringe. I cringed hard.
This is a wild, just a messy.
Just this, you know, two middle-aged men acting like a couple of 12-year-old horn dog bullies.
And then like the girls leave, and then the one bully just keeps bullying the other guy. And it's just like, what is this about? He just keeps putting him in a headlock the entire time.
Yeah.
It's just like, what is... And
like, is this the dynamic they had in prison together? Like, I don't like this scene at all. And I mean, like, if the goal is to just make Hank as unlikable as possible in this episode, mission accomplished. Not like it was going to take a lot to do that. We all know Hank's a piece of shit at this point.
Right.
But now you're just like, you know, now you're finding, you know, you don't need more reasons to dislike Hank.
And the other guy,
Ernie, yeah.
Ernie, he seems like he's a victim through most of it, right? And then he just turns around. He just like flips. He's arguing to Hank about like, oh no, I'm not doing this now, and like, blah, blah, blah. And then as soon as the reveal happens and all that stuff, how it plays out, he just like flips and becomes the other guy, and it's just like,
yeah. Then he's the professor.
It's like, what happened? A minute ago, you didn't want to do any of this shit.
Yeah, I mean, remember he was talking about going straight for his wife, and, you know, he's got a good thing going there.
It's just like quite the journey we go on in this, like, short little scene.
Yeah, I mean, in, like, 2 episodes we've had with Ernie, we've seen him completely deteriorate in a matter of, you know, again, like, what this is purely due to Hank's corrupting influence, you know? Some kind of jailhouse hierarchy going on here. Yeah. But... yeah, after a few minutes of really seriously cringe alpha Chad behavior, we get to the point. Hank has brought the professor in to help move some cocaine for Renault. Ernie's boasts of connections to the Colombian and Bolivian industries seem to impress Renault, and he summons in the hired help with the product. Surprise! It's the Mountie.
Eric.
That's right.
Eric.
King Eric. King wasn't setting Renault up. He's owned by him.
Yeah, he is.
And Renault pays well based on the tuxedo that he's wearing. After Hank and the professor head to the tables, King expresses his dislike of Ernie's nervous demeanor before he takes a little bit of the cocaine to go plant it in Cooper's car. I want him crucified. Good old Michael Parks.
I don't. I've
Meanwhile,
said everything I had for that one. It's like it's a weird scene. It's yeah, I don't know.
there's nothing new. Nothing new to cover with Jean
I mean,
Renault.
the reveal of the Mountie being the
I
inside
mean,
guy. That's pretty much
yeah,
the only real thing you need from this.
yeah. That's the only moment of consequence from this scene is that he's in on it, that they are clearly setting Cooper up to try and take the fall. And
Right.
this is Jean's revenge that he didn't get when they foiled Audrey's whole kidnapping scheme.
Right.
That makes it sound like that was Audrey's scheme. That was not Audrey's scheme.
It might still be
Audrey was the
Audrey's
victim.
scheme.
No.
She's playing the long game.
No, the writing's not that good.
But it could be.
It could be. Gonna take a drink here. My throat is a little dry.
I like how Hank's all in fatigues and Ernie's in his
Yeah,
like his
ammo
little
and
hunting shirt and stuff.
yeah.
And then we go to these next guys who are also camping and fishing trip thing.
Oh, not yet. We have a bit of
Oh, do we have another thing?
interlude.
Oh.
We do. We have Truman getting a fitful night's sleep in his red long john.
You're right.
Man, Truman is just like straight out of the 50s, isn't he? He is like a mountain man to the core.
And before you mention this, as there's a shadowy figure outside, I go, "Oh my God, it's her."
Well, it was pretty obvious. Yeah,
Just like
the silhouette. You saw her haircut in the silhouette.
it could have been a boy. It could have been anybody.
No, you saw her lips
Could
in
have
the
been
silhouette
anybody.
too. It was very, very obvious. Once you saw the silhouette, not when Cooper awakes not when Truman awakes and grabs his gun. You're not sure yet.
Oh no, as soon as he wakes up and he hears something, I'm initially that's exactly as soon as he wakes up. Before he wakes up, it's like there's like some rustle outside, and I don't know. It's pretty apparent. I was just like, and then door opens.
Let's not keep our listeners in suspense. The door opens. Josie, dirty and disheveled, she collapses into his arms, sobbing. He makes the interesting choice to lay her down on the hard wooden floor and climb on top of her and kiss her all over her face.
I know they probably had sex, but
before trying to help her when she's clearly in distress.
Right. I mean, he had needs.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Gabe, I think there's something else you have to like consider while we. I mean, everyone else you're thinking like people don't know what's going on. I think I'm the only one in this thing. Like all the listeners, they've seen all these episodes. They know.
Not necessarily.
They're yelling at me, being like, "You idiot! You idiot! You don't know jack shit! You stupid motherfucker! Get off the show!"
I've talked to at least a couple of people who have never seen the series who are gonna.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if they're watching along, if they're caught up, but
okay.
I know a few people who have started the series from following along with us.
Most people have seen it all, and they just think I'm a complete fucking idiot. So.
Yes, most people.
Most people.
But like I said, you've made some pretty astute guesses about things that come up later that, I was impressed by, so I'm sure they're impressed by them too. Now it's time for night fishing with Coop and the Major.
Just camping.
That sounds like a late night radio show, doesn't it?
It's an Eddie Bauer.
Night fishing with Coop and the Major.
Eddie Bauer commercial here.
Yeah. A rare scene of these two government men in their civvies. No uniforms here. They're roasting marshmallows by the campfire. I mean, Major Bricks is even wearing jeans.
And a beanie.
And a beanie. Cooper at least wore khakis. They're roasting marshmallows by the campfire and ruminating about the consequences of Coop's decisions and the entity known as Bob and what his existence implies. The Major discusses the choices men make when facing the forces of darkness and comments on the obvious gifts of a certain nature that Cooper possesses before asking him a very important question. Have you ever heard of the White Lodge? We get a quick shot of someone or something pushing their way through the underbrush before Cooper excuses himself to water a tree. Quote, There's
okay.
nothing like
All right.
urinating in the open air.
Nothing quite like it.
I won't disagree. The persistent hooting of an owl separately draws the attention of both men, for a fiercely bright light is shown directly at the Major, illuminating a silhouette of a human shape. The Major yells
Forrest
Cooper's
Gimp
name,
is
and
back.
that did not even occur to me.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was the dude from There's Some, I Know What You Did Last Summer, with like the big heavy rain slicker.
So I'm always waiting for Forrest Gimp to come back.
Forrest Gimp!
Forrest Gimp!
The Major yells Cooper's name and he comes running back to the campsite, but he's too late. The Major and the other figure have both disappeared. Cooper chases after the source of the light, but as he reaches the crest of the hill, eyes wide, it suddenly goes out. Roll credits.
The sequence where it kind of looks like that's similar to the Bob sequence. Isn't that almost the same footage?
No.
As the last episode where he's like
The
leaving
sequence,
down
the exit sequence, where it's like traveling through the ditch.
Right. That's the same kind of
Like
footage, right?
After
After Leland's dead. So then it's pretty much a similar type of. So I just figured that was like Bob.
I think there's some of it that might be recycled. Yeah, I don't know if that's intentional or not.
And then the owls are watching, so they use owls. They always got to go back to the owl thing.
Mm-hmm.
So he's taking a piss, and the owls are watching him take a piss.
And now, Major's gone.
So does that mean Major's Bob, or maybe Major's Bob?
Hard to say.
Major Bob to ground control. Anyway,
that we're open.
It's so campy, though. Oh my god, this whole I mean, it's kind of fun at first. They're kind of being, but then it just gets like the level of camp. Like they just don't know how to handle this kind of higher level supernatural whatever's going on here. It's just so campy looking. And
it is. It felt very low budget. Kind of back to those early constraints that we felt in the pilot and the first couple episodes. Just like I was saying earlier, this just felt like a very utilitarian slapdash episode. It didn't feel coherent. It felt like a collection of scenes that were necessary to move this plot in this new direction. So I don't know like what the writing process was that brought this up. I don't know what the original plan was if they weren't forced to reveal the killer at this point in the series. So, I think some of this might have been shot before all of that was forced upon them by the network. Hard to say. There's not much that we know about that, at least thus far.
It's interesting that they're so Lynch or everybody was so against revealing the killer. I don't find that to be a hindrance. You're like a season and a half in. It's like let's do it. Let's do something else.
Well, but again,
I don't know.
Like again, we got to revisit his take on like
also.
The Fugitive.
Right.
Like again, The Fugitive is the example that he's holding this up to.
Yeah, but even I don't get that shit. Like, how many seasons is this? I don't want to fucking watch that same.
It didn't make it that many seasons. I do remember that.
Okay. And
they eventually paid it off. But it's also like The Incredible Hulk. Like, I know you've watched some of that. If what was the reporter's name? Jack something or other.
I don't know. I was a kid. I only watched it when I was a kid. I didn't watch it as a grown up. I remember watching it
as a grown up
back in the day as a kid. I remember watching it. Yeah.
So the writer of this episode is Trisha Brock.
Trisha Brock, yes.
Let's look her up. I think this might be her first episode for Twin Peaks. But she's still active. She's actually currently working on Bridgerton.
Oh, wow.
She's also worked on the Joe King series, Nosferatu. What else we got in here? Into the Badlands from a few years back.
Nope.
The Deuce, which is an HBO
The
series.
Deuce. All right.
She's got an episode of Law and Order SVU under her belt.
Doesn't everybody?
Just about. Yeah, lots of one-offs here and there. Mozart in the Jungle, Ray Donovan, Orange is the New Black, Mr. Robot.
Orange is the New Black. She did an episode of that?
Let me go back here. She did one episode, yes.
Mm-hmm.
2 episodes of Girls.
Mm.
1 episode of Silicon Valley. 3 episodes of The Walking Dead.
Which season?
Let's
Just
see.
random. Walking Dead.
Seasons 3 and 4. So when it was still good. Holy shit! Yeah, it's a long list of stuff here.
She's just a
Whoa,
gun.
two episodes of 30 Rock.
Oh, she's a gun.
Good one too.
Gun for hire. Just a gun for hire.
Wow. Yeah.
So is this one of her first things she wrote then?
It's gotta be. These titles I'm reading off just now. Those are not her writer's credits. Those are her director's credits.
Oh, okay.
That's why we're seeing one-off episodes. Yep, blew that one. Fucked that one up real good.
Gabe's fucking us over every but lose.
Yeah, she hasn't done much writing since 2004.
Gotcha.
She moved on to directing. So yeah, writing credits. She did Twin Peaks, Knots Landing, Family Law, and then moved to directing.
Oh, good for her.
Yeah.
Do what you want
to do. She seems to have done pretty well.
Because you do not have the talent for this. Okay.
Directing 30 Rock, though, that's pretty impressive.
Here's the other thing, though. I mean, even though she's getting sole writing credit for this, I bet there were so many fucking... this is
there's
a committee.
Not even a bio in here for her.
Oh, really? Well, the director is the same thing. The director doesn't have much of a bio either. I did look her up.
Yeah, let's go back to her.
It's pretty slim.
Tina Rathbone, was it?
Yeah.
I do want to see which episode she was in, or which her.
Episode 3 was her first one.
Episode 3.
So which is like what, 4, maybe actually. Or 2. How do they count that? They don't count the pilot as a certain one, but I forget.
They don't. Well, and Lynch directed the pilot. We all remember that.
Well, yeah, but so on her Wikipedia page it says she directed episode 17, but then if you look at the episodes, they count this episode as 18. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that depends on who you talk to.
Exactly, but on Wikipedia, that's
if you do not include the pilot as an episode. If you count it as a standalone, then what we are witnessing is episode 17.
Correct.
Yeah.
But Wikipedia doesn't quite do it that way.
So, yeah.
Well, they do. They do it in both ways.
Yeah. So call it whichever you want. It was either episode 3 or episode 4, but it was Laura's funeral. Was Tina Rathbone's previous episode.
That was a brutal episode too, wasn't it?
That was
random.
Yeah, that was Leland jumping on the coffin, moving up and down.
Oh my god! Yeah, I remember that.
So yeah, let's revisit her.
She doesn't have much.
She's got nothing.
That was a favor. She knows somebody. She's sucking some kind of dick. Or Taco.
I think she was a Lynch protege, is what it was.
She was a Lynch protege?
I think she was someone who worked behind the scenes for him or something.
Can I just put that in my bio? Ian Southworth, Lynch protege. And it doesn't matter.
Yeah, okay, here we go. Isabella Rossellini, who was linked romantically with David Lynch, helped her coax Lynch into his first on-screen speaking role in her feature debut, Zelly and Me. Lynch returned the favor by offering her the opportunity to direct 2 episodes of his groundbreaking series, Twin Peaks. So she had this one feature that she directed in 1988 called Zelly and Me, which was about a nanny protecting an orphan from her possessive grandmother in 1958 Virginia, which starred Isabella Rossellini. And she convinced David Lynch to take his first on-screen speaking role in this movie. And she subsequently disappeared.
I mean, that's cool.
There you have it.
She had a little bit of a career. I mean, I have a little bit of a career too, so she had a better career than I did, so
I guess she just didn't have the right agent.
I don't have an agent, so
Or, given her work on this episode, she just wasn't very good at it.
I would love to go back and be a director on just one of these episodes. I would have loved to have done that. I would have fun with that. Anyway. Oh well. We should just pick an episode, Gabe. Something simple, and then we should just reshoot it. Just fucking
reshoot it.
Just completely reshoot it. Find a bunch of people. Just
I'm
random
pretty
episode.
sure a lot of the scripts are available online. That would be a fun project.
Just an episode. Just get a bunch of people together and just redirect an episode. But, try to change it up a little bit.
Uh-huh.
But not much. Anyway.
Ooh, that sounds fun. That sounds really, really fun.
Maybe someday when I have absolutely nothing to do in my life. You gonna play the major, or are you gonna play?
Oh yeah, what would be a good role for me? If I did the major, I'd probably have to shave the beard. I could keep a mustache though.
We could change him up. Oh, you're right. We couldn't be the major because he's actually active duty. You could play one of the Horn brothers.
I could keep a super tight beard.
You do one of the Horn brothers. We could change up the Horn brothers a bit. Could change up.
I was kind of thinking Big Ed for a moment.
Yeah,
but I'm not tall enough.
I mean, I'd be okay with that, except that would definitely have to be an earlier episode where you
I think
more
probably
stuff to
the
do.
most appropriate casting for me would be Pete.
We could give you Truman. I'd be up for giving you Truman.
Well, I could do Truman. Yeah,
I'd give you Truman. We just have to find the right Cooper. I don't know what Cooper would be, but if we found the right Cooper to compliment you, I'd be down to give you Truman. Anyway, that'd be a fun.
Gonna have to do some screen tests for chemistry.
Anyway, maybe someday.
Yeah. So Tina Rathborn. It looks like this episode that we just watched today was her last directing gig
ever.
It's her last directing credit on IMDb. So, like I said, maybe she just didn't get another gig after this because this episode was not well directed.
No, tonally it's just weird all over the. It's just messy. I mean, it's shot fine. It's shot TV, get it done. Probably came in under budget, but of course, you were saying you felt there were a lot of reshoots. You felt like there were things that were probably changed later, initially.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe
she was put in an impossible position where she couldn't have succeeded at it. That is a distinct possibility.
It's sad that this broke her.
It is sad, isn't it? Couple of other trivia notes. This is the first episode not to credit or feature Cheryl Lee.
Oh, yeah.
Ray Wise also is not credited in the beginning, though his image is used.
I have a question then. So, is it Joan Chen who plays Josie? Who is it who plays Josie?
Yes.
How come she was credited for so long but not being in any of those episodes? We haven't seen her in forever, but all these other previous episodes she's kept being credited in.
I mean, she's not the only actor to be credited in episodes she doesn't appear in. But she does have the longest streak of it.
That's just weird.
There were definitely episodes that say Wendy Roby, who plays Nadine, doesn't appear in the credits, but there are other episodes where Oh, what is the? I can't remember the actress who plays Lucy. Kimmy Robertson. There are episodes where she does appear in the credits, but Lucy doesn't appear in the episode. Uh, James Marshall is in the opening credits this week, but James is not in the episode.
Oh, that
So
makes
it's
yeah.
not just Joan Chen. My only
Do you think that's
guess
just
to that is it
laziness?
must. No, I think it's a contractual thing.
Oh, interesting.
I just think it's like, you're part of it's, like being a salaried employee versus an independent contractor. This you are hired as part of the cast
Maybe they
as
had
opposed to,
scenes
and that's also
and then
entirely
they got
possible.
cut, but they
I mean,
kept
I
the
kind
credits
of doubt that they had scenes planned for
for
Josie
Josie
in the
though.
weeks that
Yeah, I
she's
don't
been
get that.
away.
Is
That
she like a
doesn't seem like
producer in any way, or is she some kind of like fucking the
no.
producer? I don't know. It just seems like wild that she would just keep showing up and she's never in the show.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to look at her page. I mean, I know she was in Last Emperor, which was a big, huge Hollywood production. So that
Oh,
might
so
have
you're
given
saying
her.
that she just has to be included on all credits because that's the
She
deal.
might have had, she might have had a little clout that her agent threw
I got you.
as part. Yeah. So I'm saying that she was probably paid pretty well, like more so than a majority of the rest of the cast because she
She got
had,
paid a lot for
big
doing
screen experience.
very, very little.
But she looked good doing it, right?
Sometimes.
A lot of the time.
Sure did.
Um, who were our other guest stars this episode? We already talked about Gavin. We already
Clarence.
talked about Clarence. We did get a quick look at where is he? Tony J, who played Mayor Milford's brother, Dougie.
Oh, right.
Tony J is a character actor who has a real deep resume. Passed away back in 2006. But the couple of credits that stuck out to me, he ended up doing a pretty prolific voice acting career in the 90s. Appeared in a lot of cartoons. So, in the Spider-Man animated series, he voiced Baron Mordo.
Cool.
In the Fantastic Four animated series,
Mm-hmm.
he voiced Galactus.
Yes, baby.
And in 2004's X-Men Legends PS2 game, he was the voice of Magneto. Looking for your copy?
This one? X-Men Legends 2?
No, that's Legends 2,
Oh,
the
just
first
the first
one.
one.
Yeah.
I thought you said 2. Sorry, I have the first one. He doesn't do he doesn't reprise the role?
It doesn't look like it. Let's scroll through.
I've thought about replaying these actually.
He did, like I said, he did pass away in 2006, so
I thought about
maybe he
reprising.
was.
These are great games.
I got stuck on the first one and never picked it back up.
Stuck? It's not very
Yeah.
hard. Really?
No, I wasn't really good with strategy games in those days.
It's not strategy. It's like Diablo.
I've never played Diablo. Yeah, no, I wouldn't mind playing those games again as well.
Did you ever play
no,
the what was the Marvel versions? Ultimate Alliance.
No.
Oh. Anyway, sorry.
Nope, I did play Midnight Suns though.
See, that's more strategy.
Yeah, and I like that game. So for what it's worth.
For what it's worth.
Well, I think I'm out of trivia nuggets here. We talked a little bit about that bonus feature on the DVD set that had all of the locations, but I didn't go into any further details on that for this week. So we'll have to revisit that again later.
So what
But
is
that's something
the
we got plenty of time
trajectory
for.
going out? You know, like are we like this is a bad one and it's just gonna get worse, or is it like what is
Yeah.
it? What is it?
No, it's like for 8 or 9 episodes
Gabe, you're killing me, bro.
with like, dude, I told you this from the beginning that once the murder was solved, it was going to tank. So actually, let's go back before we wrap up. We do want to look at the ratings.
Oh yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. So where are we? We're at episode 10, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Or no, 9, 10. So this episode would have aired on December 8th, 1990. We're not really cratering just yet. We've got a household rating of 7.4. That's 11.1 million viewers. 14% share of the households.
That's
and
pretty
it
good,
rates
actually.
76 on the week. Yeah, it's still in the top 100 programs for the week, which, for that frame is pretty good. But it is definitely sliding from the reveal of the killer 2 weeks prior. Or 3 weeks prior, excuse me. We had 2 weeks after that. So, yeah, there's a weird schedule going on here. So, the next episode aired on the 15th, following week. And then after that, it was preempted for 3 straight weeks, presumably for holiday programming of some sort.
What time? What month was this?
This was December.
Oh, was this? Okay.
So, yeah, 22nd, 29th, and the 5th of January.
That wouldn't be like the Winter Olympics or some shit like that?
No, I think that's what happened in March.
Oh, okay.
When it was preempted for 5 weeks.
Okay.
In late February and the month of March. But yeah, there's a lot of places here where it just doesn't air in its regular slot. So you never get more than 3 consecutive new episodes from November until the end of March. So it's really hard for this show to keep its momentum
They
where
just
it's
don't really
at.
care about it
Yeah,
anymore.
the network is not behind it.
Yeah.
They're like, give us our killer, and I guess they didn't like what they saw subsequently.
Well, I'm
so
not,
when
that didn't
after
like
that
this.
5-week, because after that 5-week preemption in March, they moved it back to its original time slot on Thursdays against Cheers, and ratings just continued to tank after that. So we are definitely on the downslope.
So I feel like I may have asked you this already, but like, what from this period to the end of this season, if anything, is carried into the return? Like, is there? Not, don't tell me what it is, but is there anything from these consecutive? There are things, storylines, or
all of the above.
All right.
So we do revisit.
So that means
that
that David Lynch watched this, liked it enough to put it into his sequel. Like, it's so awful that
from this specific episode,
from this episode on to the end, like, or are you saying he only carries over stuff from the very last stuff that he directs, like from the shitty episodes that we have to do? Let's say before the finale that he directs, the episodes in between there. Does he use any of this?
Yeah, mainly Cooper's arc.
So there's some stuff in here in Cooper's arc that he uses, but nothing else, basically. So I do need to pay attention.
Again, like, because of Cooper and because of who he is, we still get those ties to the spiritual angle of this story.
Gotcha.
And those are the high points of the series going forward. But
there's none of this other weird like subplot bullshit that like they're doing that he doesn't use. He doesn't pull from any of that.
Some of it.
You think so? Okay.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there are some characters that we
So Audrey licking ice cream cones is going to get used in the return, I hope. But maybe.
But there are some
you're saying there's a sex scene with Audrey in the return.
I'm not saying anything about the return. We've established this, and we're going to continue to establish
Just trying to get you to sleep. I mean, he's got some weed, some whiskey. Just like see if I can get some pulls.
Not while the cameras are rolling, anyway.
Hey, listeners, and watchers. I mean, he had his shirt off beforehand. I mean, he had no fucking
Oh
clue.
yeah,
He had no
I
idea where he
almost
was. He had no idea
I
where he
almost
was.
did this episode bare chested, folks. You missed out. Missed out indeed.
Anyway, I don't have anything else.
Yeah, I've wrapped up things. Like I was saying, I was discussing with my brother, who like my ties with Twin Peaks are inextricably linked with him. And he's doing his own rewatch because he's a dad to 4 kids. He's not got the time to enjoy our podcasts, unfortunately. But I did fill him in on some of our discussion, and he did want me to specifically bring up the dialogue. So, like, what is your take on the dialogue overall for the series? Like, does the dialogue as a whole feel? I mean, and again, like Barry watches this through the same lens that I do, in that like we still have that 12-year-old viewpoint of, oh, I've never seen people talk like this on television before.
I mean, I don't think they
So
talk
I'm
like.
sure.
I mean, very few. I mean, they definitely don't talk like I talk to people in the real world. Is that what you're talking about? Like, or are you talking about to me measure it up against dialogue in other
I think that's
shows?
where he was going with it, with where's like the poetry of it.
Well, I don't know if there's much.
And again,
I
isn't for every
get that they
character.
do. I get that they try to make what Cooper says very poetic, the way they write him and his rhymes, like not rhyme scheme, but like his kind of like rhythm in the way he talks. Like even if you talk about this episode and that monologue they gave him to talk to Sarah, like
Mhm.
they make him try to seem like this like this FBI poet, you know?
Yeah,
But ain't no one talking like that in real life, you know?
no,
Even, and an FBI agent would probably say even less.
yeah.
He'd probably just say, you know, something
And
like,
it seems unlikely that his supervisor would tell him that he reminds him of a small Mexican Chihuahua.
yeah, there's a lot of like just there's also that kind of stuff. So if you go back to like some of the smarter written episodes, it's very quippy, and I mean, not everyone's that kind of a smartass, or
Yeah.
everyone is kind of, and not everyone, you know, you look at Albert, who's just really kind of a quippy smartass,
Hmm.
you know, whereas Coop,
Or you
he's
look
like,
at Dick, who speaks like he was, born in a 1920s novel from English Lit.
it is just very written, I think, ultimately. And then you look at like dialogue in shows today where they try to make it more real, but then there are definitely those times when they want their characters to be kind of fun and edgy and go
Mhm.
off, you know? And that's kind of where, but like so if you're comparing it to television, you know, it's always going to be a little bit like that. It's just gotten smarter and better developed. But if you're comparing it to real life, no one's like that in real life, dude.
No, yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know what he wants me to say or what he was
No, I
looking
think,
for.
yeah.
But it definitely feels a bit dated, but that's just because of the writing in general. Like it
Yeah, and
doesn't.
again, I think he was looking at it specifically in reference to like other shows at the time,
A lot of
which it was
writing.
very much unlike.
A lot of writing today in the dialogue is they're developing character and moments for next shows, whereas the writing of this time isn't concerned with trying to do that in any fucking way. You know, they're not really trying to. I mean, they're trying a
I
little
would
bit.
argue that it is
Well,
not necessarily.
in the
I would
plot,
say this episode is a bad example of
this
that.
episode's about it, but in the plot, yes, any plot dialogue needs to drive this forward. But I feel
Yeah.
like in shows today, like even the improvisation that they do, they're thinking like, well, if you're going to improvise this, make sure you kind of improvise this in a way that kind of gives a hint or a clue to that. You know, it's way more thought out that way, you know, but like make sure you, I think the thing this show does a really bad job of is keeping whatever the characters say within the character. Like sometimes I feel like the characters get so lost. Like
Like they're reading someone else's thoughts.
yeah, or it's just the tone, like especially in this episode the tone's so shifted and lost. It like nowadays the actors are so focused on their character, and they make sure whatever the dialogue is, they try to keep it within what their character's parameters. On this show, it's like, well, we'll say anything and just let it go, whatever. It's David Lynch. We'll just write it off as David Lynch, Anyway, but I don't know. I mean, the dialogue can be fun in this show. Sometimes it's kind of horrendous.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, if you look at that scene at the fucking the Red Lodge or whatever it is called, not the Red. What is it? The cat house.
One-Eyed Jacks.
One-Eyed Jacks. God damn it. Anyway, just all that kind of dialogue where they're just like fucking around with each other, and then I don't know. It just gets so goofy.
One of the scenes that he did bring up specifically was when Cooper and Ed are undercover at One-Eyed Jacks, and when Ed slips up and talks about owning the gas station. Like that was one of the scenes of dialogue that he was talking about.
Now, see, this is that's a good episode.
Mm-hmm.
That's a different thing. That's a good episode, and also the dialogue in that well, I'd have to go back and watch that whole episode again. But in that sequence, I do feel like it's a bit minimal. Like he's not just talking. Like he's there's like I don't know. That was a good scene. That felt like a smarter scene. And it was a more fun scene because you have Big Ed trying to be undercover and Coop's being a badass. I don't know, there's a lot of other things going on there. Yeah. But it's still not... It's kind of real because you're going to kind of blurt out... We've all been in situations where we're trying to do one thing and then we kind of just...
And again, I don't think he was referring to the realism of it so much as just the entertainment value.
Well, I think
which can be very broad.
I think I like that scene. I think I like that episode actually. But
so good, yeah. Pick a good example then.
Anyway, I don't know.
He did also bring up another Ed scene, which I thought was weird because I know I've kind of shit on his acting in particular as I've done this specific
Especially
rewatch
as of late. But he's not really asked to do much as of late. He shows up, but he's not really doing anything.
But the very specific exchange he talked about was when Ed brings Nadine into the diner, and Nadine is asking him, "Are we staying at your parents' house or at my parents' house?"
Right.
And Ed's response is to turn and look at Norma and go, "That's right."
No, yeah, I get what you...
Completely yeah. So that little exchange there too is another one of the scenes he referred to where like the dialogue can be clever and entertaining.
Here's the other thing.
It's not necessarily realistic.
Here's the other thing I take from that though. That kind of sequence is like he's called on to set for that one fucking scene in that one fucking episode where they like because they basically been. I mean, this is the most we've seen of Ed in a long time in an episode. I don't know. I feel like. In that episode, it's just like, I'm here, and then they probably just want to get it and get the fuck on. They don't really care. Like, we just need to shoot this. I don't even know if the director understands it. The writers wrote it, but the director's like, whatever, let's shoot it. Because at that point, the show's already kind of off the rails. It's kind of like, I don't know, this is what they're writing. So that's, I'm sure Ed's
let's just shoot it.
I'm sure Ed's like, well, I was doing all this other cool shit before, Bookhouse Boys and all this, and now I'm just fucking stuck. Yeah. And he's like, okay. And I'm sure he doesn't.
I'm a teen dad.
I'm sure he's not really dialed in on that. I'm sure he's not running he's not running the line, being like, whoa, what's my, I can kind of feel like you could be kind of resentful of this. It's like, well, at least I'm in the show still, but just what the fuck is this?
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot of that, probably especially back then in the 90s. You got to think that they're like really thinking that, Some of them because I like Ed.
Yeah.
He's a good-looking character. I like him in the show. It sucks that they really sidelined him, and I could totally understand just being like, whatever, okay. He probably shot the same scene. They probably gave him like 3 or 4 takes. It probably doesn't change much.
Yeah, and pretty utilitarian. Yeah,
I don't know. That's what I'm going to assume back in the 90s.
Yeah.
So
There is something else I wanted to touch on. Uh, so as we discussed, like my original experience watching this, there were a lot of episodes I didn't get to see because I only watched uh, while I was with custody with my dad and my stepmom.
or recorded,
So,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So, uh, I saw the episode where Leland was revealed as the killer,
Mm.
but the following 4 episodes after that, I never got to see until years afterward. So like the whole episode where Leland has his confession and Bob actually comes out of him. The episode where like he hides, they find Maddie's body. Like there's all kinds of progress in the story that I just, and then now looking at this preemptive schedule, it means that it was months before I picked up on this stuff again. So there was a huge gap in my original viewing from the time where Leland kills Maddie to what happens next.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, when I picked it up again, like, Cooper had already been suspended. He was already in the midst of this other,
Oh, weird.
Storyline. So,
So
yeah,
you had
I
no
had a
idea what
real,
was going on,
yeah, I had a, like, I'd received a recap, a
right?
verbal recap from my parents,
But it's kind of like
where they
comic
kind of,
books.
like, yeah,
As kids,
specifically
as
the scene I
comic books,
remember
you
being described is like my stepmom told in great detail about Tojimura taking off the shoe to show painted toenails. Like that was one detail she really honed in on. And Ben started kissing her feet, and that was the detail
it's like
that like
what?
she thought was the most amusing about that.
But yeah, it's like comic books. Like you, as a kid, you can only afford so many, and you only get to it so many times, or your parents will only take you to the store to buy it, or whatever. So you
Yeah,
have one, and then you'll miss like 2, 3 issues, and then you get the next one, and it's like, oh well, this one's
yeah,
cover price of like $1. The back issues are already marked up to $5. It's like, well, I'm not gonna buy those, so I guess I'll just
yeah,
read this. So you read that one, it's like, well, what happened to the other part of? Oh, all right, whatever. Just keep going.
yeah. That's a pretty accurate representation of my first time
And
through
that's being
the original
kids,
series.
because you don't
Yeah,
have control. As an adult, we're in the situation now where I have control of this, and we're doing a podcast, so I can watch it weekly or,
right. Yeah,
but,
completionism wasn't necessarily as much of a thing
right.
as it was. It didn't make you mad if you didn't get all of the
But there
stickers to that
was,
sticker
there
book.
is fun about that because it makes you feel like you're investigating. So then when I did get the money to buy in a back issue to fill in that hole and to read that, I felt like, yes. And then as a kid, I would go back and then reread it all again. I don't do that anymore. Even if I have
Hmm.
I'll read the issue. I was like, okay, yeah, okay, put it away, file it away. But back then, as a kid, you'd read it again. You'd read it. It's like, yes, okay, it makes sense now. I get it. I get the arc. It makes so much more sense, and that's what I loved about comic books, and that's what you love about kind of like when you're any storytelling. You like, Gabe, you're watching this show and you're like, well, I want to know. I want to fill
Hmm.
those blanks in. So then once you do fill those blanks in, that's why you then go back because you love the show so much. You'll rewatch it. Now you've seen
Yeah,
it uninterrupted. That's like your greatest. That's your great goal. Someday
right.
I'm gonna watch this uninterrupted. Anyway, but
And we're on that ride right now.
yes, yes we are.
Well, that's all I've got for this week. Anything else to add from your end there, Ian?
No, I'm good. Yeah.
All
Look,
right.
are we good for next week? Or I thought you were teasing something that maybe you weren't good for next week.
Yes, we are off next week. I will
Okay.
be on vacation in Colorado. So no
Oh,
new episode on
going to
July
see
31st.
the fam.
Going to see the fam.
Gonna force them all to watch all these episodes on youtube.com/milkmanpictures where you can share all the blank as a fart episodes with your family. They're gonna love it.
Or, if they don't have time on the TV, I can just direct them to Spotify, where
Yes.
they can listen to all of our previous episodes.
They can
The
also
links to
watch
that,
them.
which can be found in the bio on our social media pages.
Indeed.
And yeah, of course they want to watch them. They want to see our handsome faces, right?
I certainly hope so. I mean, they wanted to see your naked body, but you fucking you took it away from them, Gabe.
Yeah, once we get 100 subscribers, I'll do a shirtless episode.
You know what?
Make it happen.
If that happens, I will also go shirtless.
You heard it here first, gang. 100 subscribers, and we do a shirtless episode.
Cool.
Right. In the meantime, blank is a fart pod.
Oh yeah, I didn't put that. Yeah, look at that.
.com.
That is what that is.
I'm going to give the thumbs up just because I want to see it do the thing. Yes. What were the other ones we found it do? Does it do the heart? It does the heart.
Oh, it does.
Yep, there's the heart.
Oh my god, so beautiful.
Does it do the peace sign?
Oh, it does. Peace sign is
balloons.
That's
what
weird.
About the devil? Devil horns.
How about the call me? I can't do it because I don't have an iPhone to do that one. I mean, it's really hang loose, but
yeah.
Somehow the white person took hang loose and turned it into the phone. I don't understand that shit.
That's I love you in
the middle
sign
finger.
language.
That's
not good.
Does it do this one? Hey Gabe, if you turn around and take a shit, will it do the turd emoji?
Yeah. Well, show the poop emoji. If I whip out my dick, do we get the zucchini?
I believe it's an eggplant, but
oh, you're right.
Good times.
Good times.
Good episode.
Thanks. Yes. Good times. Good episode.
We turned a little into a lot.
Special teams, special plays, special players. We did stretch out that last half hour quite a bit, didn't we?
We're almost at 2 hours.
Yeah. So yeah, go check out some of Warwick Davis's work, everybody. The new Willow, life's too short. Stuff. But join us again in 2 weeks when we find out exactly what Cooper's going to defend himself with and who he's going to get help from. Maybe we'll get some fun cameos.
I hope so.
Who knows? I know of one specific one next week that you're going to enjoy. So
right, fun.
Maybe 2.
Cool. Look forward.
So until then, thanks for joining us, folks. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Later,
Take care.
Gabe.
Later, Ian.